Hey guys, welcome to the channel. I'm Creative Oche. In this particular video, I'm going to be teaching you the basics of After Effects. I will simplify the process so you don't get overwhelmed, and how we can make a project on After Effects. Alright, now After Effects is used for motion graphics, and if you want to create motion graphics with it, it's one of the best tools you can use to create motion graphics. Now, the key things that are actually really important that you will be using every single day is what I want to talk about. If you're looking for a in-depth video, this is not the video you should watch. But if you want to learn like the basic things and you want to be familiar with the major things you need first as a beginner, this is the best video to watch. Now, in After Effects, one of the key things you need to understand is the differences between composition and footage. So footage is a film footage, of course. A composition now is made of shapes. That's how you can see that this side that says new composition. You see triangle, rectangle, circle, all of them inside a screen. It means that it's a composition where you use shapes, colors, text to create something. That's the essence. So if I click new composition, it's going to pop up this window. And this window will help ask you questions. So the key things you should focus on here now is your composition name. I can name this to YT tutorial. Then preset, you don't need that. Just focus on the 1080 by 1080 inch pixels, which is the size. It's just like when you're working on Photoshop, the size of your canvas. This preset means it has different screen sizes and you will love to work with. So since we are not using that, the basic preset is either 1920 by 1080, which is the normal one, but I'm using 1080 by 1080, so you will use it later. Then pixel aspect ratio is square pixels. Yeah. The frame rate. Now this frame rate, there's a lot of debate on which is the perfect frame rate, but for me, I use 30 frames per second. What does it mean? It means for you to get to 1 second, it will take 30 frames for you to get to 1 second. So the easier the frame is, the smaller the frame is, the more easy it will be for you. If you're using 60 frames, it's going to be fresh and clean animation, but sometimes when you put it on the codec of when you try to post for social media, it looks somehow because Instagram will add their effect on it and all those type of things. So the basic standard frame rate is 30 frames or 24 frames per second. So I'm using 30 frames. Now, the resolution here means when you are working on a project, how do you want to see it? Should it be very clear, which is full? Or should it be average, which is half? Or should it be third, which is less clear? Or should it be quarter, which is very low when you are looking at it? Now, this here is dependent on your laptop. So if you are using a lower RAM processing laptop and you want to work faster, you can click on quarter. When you export, it's going to be full. Don't worry, it's going to be sharp. It's going to be clean. Yes. But when you're working, you can put it in. For me, sometimes I use third or half. I'm working on complex projects that are very big. I use quarter so that I can work my stuff faster. When I'm exporting, I put it at full and export. So the duration here now, you're going to ask yourself, this 2 zeros at the side here is milliseconds, second, minute, and hour. So it's set to 1 minute. I'm going to set it to 30 seconds. 0, 30, and my background color, my preset background color is black. I click OK. All of this advanced 3D renderer, you don't need them for now. Just click OK. So it's going to show you your screen. Now, to make sure your screen is bigger, come to this area here. You see it's magnification. Click on fit, and it's going to be bigger. So that part where you see the resolution, this is it here. So if I click on auto, it's going to switch between all of them, but I'm going to set it to half. So active camera is when you are using a 3D layer, but for now we are not using it. If you're using multiple screens on your After Effects, it's actually going to ask you, do you need one screen, do you need two screens, do you need three screens? That's if you're working on a 3D project. We are not working on one. So let me go to the tools first. So the tools here, everything here is just like how you see it on Photoshop, but it's a little twist. Number one, you have your move tool, which is a selection tool. You have your pan tool. We have your zoom tool. And if you're working on 3D projects, this is called orbit. This is also pan under cursor for 3D. This is dolly towards cursor for 3D. And this is rotation tool. And this one is for anchor point. So if you created a shape and you want to position the anchor point, I'm going to show that later, but this is what you use. And this is for shapes. If you click and hold, you see rectangle, rounded rectangle, ellipse tool, polygon, star tool, and the rest. And there is the pen tool, which is pen tool. Every other thing under Photoshop, you see it here. Then there's text, which you see your text here. And there's brush, there's clone stamp, there's eraser tool, there's roto brush, and there's puppet warp tool. Now I'm going to simplify the process for you. So this particular section here is your layer section, just like on Photoshop. This is where all your layers will appear, and if you want to also create layer, this is where it comes. I'll be teaching you based on what is needed as we progress. So when I want to talk about something, I'll just teach you in the process. So let's create a simple animation of, let's say, a shape. But the first thing to do now, this particular file has no background. So what do? We create a background first. So right click, new, solid. A solid is a background, is a base on After Effects. So I click on it, it's going to ask me the size of the solid, which is the same size of the composition. Leave all of these things, they are not needed. Then you click on the color here. So I can say let's use color white, drag it to white, and then click OK. Then you click OK here, so it's white. So that's what solid color does. If you remember on your Photoshop, there's layers, all the blend modes. These are all of the blend modes on After Effects. It's just different ones and a little bit more. Yeah, so that's it. So now the next thing to do is create a shape. To create a shape, there are two ways. You can right click and go to new, and you can say shape layer, or better still, you go to shape here, go to ellipse tool, make sure you are not clicking on any shape, any layer, then hold. First of all, you check if your layer is on fill or on stroke. So just like as there's fill on Photoshop and there's stroke, I click on the fill, set it to this color. Let me set it to a fine color, something like this. Click OK, and then go to the stroke and cancel the stroke outline. So I'm going to hold shift and drag the circle, so it will give me a square size circle. Yeah, now if we want to position this to the center, how do we do it? You can scroll here, or you can go to your window and go to align. See, align, it's going to bring this, and then you can align to the center. That's one. Now I talked about anchor points. If you click on this anchor point layer, you see that this anchor point is not in the center. You hold Control when you are dragging it, so it will clip in the middle. Very, very important. Now when you have that, let's make this circle small and the circle big within time frames. And if I never mentioned it, this side of your layer is your time frame. Everything you are doing, all your animations is in this time frame. So if I go to set my time to, let me go to 1 second. This is 1 second, and I go to scale. To go to your scale on your layer, press S on your layer, and then click scale. Click, go to the beginning, and then reduce the size. This is where you reduce the size. The size is the same edges. So if you want to set the size for the same edges, that's where you go to. Then you highlight everything, right click, go to keyframe assistant, and go to easy ease, or you can press F9. So easy ease, and go to your graph editor. This is your graph editor, and you right click. If you don't see the graph looking like this, just go to edit split graph, so that you can see the way it looks like in split graph. Uncheck value graph, go to split graph, highlight it, then drag like this, drag like this. What you are doing as you are dragging it is that we are adjusting the speed. So I'm saying it should be fast, then slow, then fast. So see it, yeah, as you can see, press it again, goes. So you've just created your first animation. Yeah, so that's the first one. So I'm going to talk about the last one. So I'm going to off this layer here. To off the layer, because you see this eyes icon, can turn it off. Let's create a path, a line animation. To create it, go to your pen tool here and then uncheck the fill and on the stroke. So if I click on the fill here, first of all, let's copy this color of the fill of the stroke of the fill here. Copy the color, press Ctrl C to copy this color, and then go to fill here, and then click cancel, click OK, go to the stroke, put color, click OK, and then set the color, paste the color we used, and then click OK. Now, just like pen tool on Photoshop, you can click, drag, and you can set the width of the stroke. I set the width of the stroke. I still not changing. Okay, I think I made a mistake. So let's undo that. So I drew the line on top of the circle layer. So let's turn that off. So just don't click on any of the layer, just click and drag. So let's reduce this stroke to something like this. So I'm using 18 pixels. If I want to continue on the stroke, just click on this side and then continue. Now, as I'm trying to draw here, it's not giving me the flexibility that I need. Just like on Photoshop, if you hold out, you can move this like this, so it's smoother. So I can continue. Now we are going to animate the stroke. So for you to animate the stroke, you come to your layer here, click on this arrow, go to add, and go to trim path. When you click on trim path, you're going to see. So I'm going to use the end instead of the start. So set the end to 0. Come to the beginning here and then click, and then go to 1 second. Set the end to 100. Then go to 2 seconds. Set the end to set your go to in between the 1 second. 1 second and 2 seconds, go to start, and then go to 2 seconds, set it to 0, so that set it to 100, so that it will play around. So if I go to the beginning and I play it, see how it looks like in the end. To play your animation, press space bar to play your animation. So we've just created a minimal animation. Now if you want to make the animation smooth, highlight every keyframe. Of course, these dots are called keyframe. I never mentioned it, so they are called keyframes. So highlight all the keyframes, right click, and go to keyframe assistant, easy ease. If I press spacebar, it's more smoother than before. You see. So that's how to do some simple animations on After Effects. That is very simple. I'm going to create more in-depth videos about this. So if you want to watch in-depth video, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel,